She went from being a valedictorian at Burke High School to owning her own magazine called So Exquisite. In this special edition of Quintin's Post-Ups, I sit down with Kimberly Bowman. Kimberly, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too.
I appreciate this.
No problem. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to see.
No worries. It's been a long time.
I know, it's been a really long time.
I've wanted to interview you for a while, but obviously politics has been dominating everything.
Yeah. So
Tell me, how are you?
I'm good. I'm hot, but I'm good.
That's
so,
awesome.
It's 100 degrees outside. But
And you told me that you were talking with a lot of people around town just before this interview.
yeah, I was actually at an event with a friend of mine, and shaking hands and passing on business cards, and I'm all over.
and you're well known now because it's so exquisite.
So exquisite. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me walk you back down memory lane because from what I understand, you said that it's anybody's magazine.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I like to think of So Exquisite Charleston as, something for everybody, because the content that's on there, I try to have something on there for everyone. Like, we have a cooking where we do recipes and whatnot, health and wellness, where we get like fitness tips and, wellness tips and whatnot. We do interviews with like different people, talent, musicians, and whatnot around town. We have editorials and everything ranging from like just people ranting to stuff about things going on in the media, things going on in society right now. So it's a little bit of everything for everybody. So I like to make it diverse and whatnot. So anybody can go and log on and find something for them. So yeah.
And speaking of finding, from what I understand, I hope this is true, but you actually came up with the name So Exquisite from a Lil Wayne song.
I did. I really did. And I'll tell you the story.
Please.
Actually, when I was in high school, maybe like sophomore, junior year, everybody had an iPod back then.
Sure.
My sister, she would like download different music and stuff for me, and I would go and take the music off her computer and put it on my, on my iPod. And it was one random song that was, never really out or anything like that, and it was Lil Wayne and Tyga. It was called So Exquisite, and so I was like. And I kept remember listening to the song. Right? The song was terrible, but the name just kind of stuck with me. And they kept saying So Exquisite, and I was like this name, like the name of the song is just like, I just liked how exquisite sounded. It sounded so pristine, so excellent, so cool. So it kind of stuck with me, because when I was thinking of back in high school, when I was thinking of starting a blog, I was like, what am I gonna call it? Like, what is it gonna be called? So I was like, well, I like how exquisite sounded. So I never really got the blog started, and it wasn't until once I went to college, and I kind of found, media and journalism and whatnot, and, I got a passion for it. I had a radio show at school. I worked for the school newspaper. I did everything.
From what I understand, everyone knew your own campus.
Everyone did. I was the girl from South Carolina. I went to school in Pennsylvania, and everybody knew who I was. Because, everybody likes my accent. Because, anytime anybody from Charleston goes anywhere, they think we're, from another country or like from another country or something. So, everybody knew who I was. And everybody loved Charleston because they're like, oh my God, you're from Charleston? That is so cool. I love Charleston.
Yes.
And I'm just like, yeah, I'm from Charleston. Like, no big deal. But, when I found media and journalism there, and I just fell in love with it. And, when I moved back home and, was looking for a job and whatnot, I started So Exquisite. And I remember it, and that's why I was like, this name Exquisite stuck with me.
Wow.
And, I looked it up, and the synonym for exquisite is excellent.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, but I don't like excellence, is too long. Let's just do exquisite. So I was like, okay, So Exquisite. And then I just threw Charleston in there because, so many people talk about Charleston and its culture and the people and the history that's here. And I wanted to be able to, kind of show a different side of Charleston and, show people like, hey, these people aren't on the front of the Posting Courier every week, but, they're just as awesome. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I got the name.
Now let's walk back down memory lane because from what I understand, you knew that you wanted to do something with entrepreneurship at the age of 8.
Yeah, like since I was younger, like I always knew that I wanted to own my own business. Like, I was just that kid that was just like, I just had it in my mind. Like, I was going to be rich and famous, and everybody was gonna know who I was, and I was gonna be the coolest person ever because I was a nerd in school. So I was just like, I'm gonna be so cool when I get older. I'm gonna have a business. Like I switched it from like at first it was real estate. First I wanted to be a singer. I wanted it I went back and forth for so many different things for so long. And when I got to college and started doing everything, got into communications, I was like, okay, I think this is what I need to be doing. Okay. So, yeah.
Wow. And from what I understand, it wasn't until you actually got to Burke that you noticed that you wanted to have some sort of publication.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about that.
When I was at Burke, I actually, I was involved in a lot of different activities and whatnot. So I knew that I wanted to do something. I always liked to write. And I was very, people like to say, okay. Which I know you're probably thinking the same thing, but I'm very detailed. I like to talk. I like to help people. I like to explain things, especially if I know what I'm talking about. Right. So I was just like, I know I wanted to have something out. I know I wanted to do something. So I was just like, it kind of just always like stuck with me. I was like, I'm gonna, release something, like some type of publication, something for people to read, and kind of like, take something away from it. Especially me I grew up with a lot of self-esteem issues when I was younger. So, looking on magazine covers, like all the girls so pretty with their long hair and skinny bodies and whatnot. So I wanted to do something to where I showed different types of people, different types of stories, different types of backgrounds, different definitions of what it means to be beautiful, what it means to be awesome.
I'll tell you a personal thing. I mean, it didn't, for a while. I mean, I've had death in the family for many, many years. Up until, even when my aunt died in 2013, I didn't know how to overcome death. I was scared of it. Yeah. And at some points, I couldn't even go to funerals. You talk about self-esteem issues. Is So Exquisite magazine a way of you overcoming that fear?
That's a good question. It really, in a way, it kind of is, because as an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, you really have to come out of a box. You're on the clock 24/7. You're constantly promoting yourself and promoting your brand. In order to be successful, people have to know about it. Right. So I was that type of self-esteem to where I would sweat just thinking about talking to people and getting nervous and things like that. And when I would always overthink things so much when it came to being in social settings and getting dressed up or even doing anything. So Exquisite really forced me. It was like I was shoving myself out of the box, get out there. Wow. So I really it really pushed me to, have to talk to people more, come out of my box more, going to events, just starting a conversation with someone, not just sitting off in the corner looking around oh my God, So, really kind of taking a step out of the box and, taking that first step and, being myself. Yes. Coming into my own and, accepting myself for who I am. It's that's what makes me unique. And, I wanted to be able to show that. And a lot of my friends say you see a lot of my personality in So Exquisite as well, because I'm goofy and stuff like that. So a lot of the things, when I'm on the business page, I post a lot of goofy statuses and whatnot. And, it's engaging for people. So, yeah, and I really would say it's a way for me to come over my self-esteem issues. I didn't think about it like that. So.
And you talk about your friends. Obviously, you had a lot of them at Burke High School. Because from what I understand, you graduated as a valedictorian. What was that like?
It was amazing. I was one of those nerds. I was a little socially awkward, but I wouldn't say socially awkward. I was a little shy, but when it came to academics, I was I could talk all day long. I was very, I had no problem putting myself out there when it came to academics. But I had graduated valedictorian from elementary, middle, and then when I got to high school, I was like, okay, let's do this. Yes. But it was very exciting. I was in the school. I was in the Postal Courier. I was in the news because I got so many different scholarship offers. Because I applied to 50 different schools and got over $500,000 back in scholarship offers. So.
You're the smart girl. And if I'm correct, it was at Burke High School, I hope this is correct, when you actually got to know somebody you look up to now, Jenny Darren. With kids.
Really me and Jenny knew each other since back when I was elementary school.
Wow.
But I always kind of kept, a contact and stayed in contact with, those from the program or whatnot.
Sure.
I still keep in contact with one of my counselors.
Right.
We're Facebook friends.
Wow.
So, she's been a part of my life for a very long time now. I've always kind of kept in the loop with what's been going on with Wings, because it really helped me when I was younger meet some of like my closest friends now, like friends I've had since like kindergarten.
Wow.
I still know them now. So, and that's because of Wings and because of that opportunity that Jenny created for us. So.
Speaking of which, Jenny Darren, she ran unsuccessfully for mayor of Charleston last year. What was it like to see that person who you looked up to run for mayor?
It was awesome. When she approached me about being in, helping, being a part of the campaign and whatnot, and being in her campaign commercial, I was like, go girl, you running for mayor. It was awesome to see someone that I had admired for so long and who's done so much for the people and the communities of Charleston and the people of Charleston who are kind of forgotten about or ignored or left out. She's done so much for groups of people like that. So for her to be running for mayor, I was all for it, because I'm like, we need to get somebody like this in office, so. It was amazing. I was proud of her either way, and whether she won or lost, I still feel like she got the message out there, she got her face out there, and she was able to promote ideas and things that I don't think a lot of Charlestonians even really knew about or understood or even thought about. So, yeah.
And from what I read too, you love dreaming. You're not your average dreamer.
Yeah.
So as we sit here right now, when you think about the future, what are you actually dreaming about?
I'm one of those, people say they're a hopeless romantic. I'm a hopeless dreamer.
Wow.
I grew up on the side of town to where, if you're a dreamer, people look at you like you're crazy, or people laugh at you, or you get teased for things like that. But I was one of those people, it's like, if this person who grew up in the ghetto or grew up in a bad side of town can get out here and do all these great things, why can't I do it? What's so different about me? So when I think about the future, I just think about being able to have an impact on people's lives and being able to be that role model, be that influence for people who were like me, who dreamed and dreamed and dreamed, and they were kind of they were too afraid to actually share those dreams or open their mouths. And it's I want to be that one, to be like, hey, it's all right. You can, shout it from the mountaintops. Don't feel bad because you have dreams and aspirations and goals that may be unattainable or unthought of or unimagined by some people. It's it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, Kimberly Bowman, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.